to Previously on X-Men, the podcast that looks at X-Men comics, movies, shows, characters, and more. I'm Hilary, and
I'm Eric.
There we go. This is Eric. And that means we've got another animated series episode for ya.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's do it.
Eric and I are both getting just a little weary now that we're getting to sort of like the end.
We've been doing it since 2019.
It's a lot. But we're going for it. Okay, so this time we're doing One Man's Worth, parts 1 and 2.
Parts 1 and 2. Part 1 was aired September 9th, 1995. Hilary, how old were you in 1995?
I was 10. That's an easy one.
Yeah, I would have been 9.
Mm-hmm. Yep, that tracks.
There we go.
Now everyone knows how old we are.
Yeah. Were you watching this episode on air, or is this like later? Because there are some episodes you say that you caught much later and thought you only saw those episodes.
I don't think I saw this episode until I watched it for this.
Wait, until now?
Yeah. I mean, it's as I say that, I feel like maybe it was one of those ones that sort of like I watched but didn't really understand because it's so like stuff's happening, boom, boom, boom. And so it didn't really stick with me. I don't know, but I don't remember it from being a child.
Okay. I've seen it a couple of times.
Yeah.
The end.
Is it your very favorite of all time?
No, but it does adapt some stuff from one of my favorite X-Men stories of all time.
Oh, really? What's that? Is it called One Man's Worth?
No, it's Age of Apocalypse.
Aha! All right, well, let's get into it. So aired on September 9. It's directed by Larry Houston.
Mm-hmm.
Written by Richard Mueller.
Yeah, I looked him up because I thought that name sounded familiar, but I don't know how it does. He did write 4 episodes of Batman the Animated Series, but they're 4 really bad episodes. It's the 2-parter Cat and the Claw episode. He wrote The Forgotten and The Underdwellers. And if you know your first couple episodes of Batman the Animated Series, hearing The Forgotten and The Underdwellers just makes you go, ugh.
Well, that's a shame. Was the other one, was it Catwoman, the first ones?
Yeah, it was the first episode that aired. It was the Catwoman and Batman team up against the Red Claw.
And that's
not a good thing. No, it's not great.
Oh, but Catwoman. Oh, well.
He wrote 2 episodes of Captain Planet.
Captain Planet.
Oh, and Mighty Max.
Hero. Gonna take, what's the next part? Pollution.
He's gonna take pollution down to zero.
Down to 0.
That's his whole thing, if you really get to it.
Taking pollution down to 0.
Yeah, that's his main thing.
It is what he is known for. Yeah.
Oh, he wrote 3 episodes of Land of the Lost. Wow, this guy was busy.
Wow. Okay, so maybe all of that combined is why that was a familiar name to you.
Maybe it's all just in my head, yeah.
So the episode starts way back in 1959. This isn't even a Previously on X-Men. This is just
starts Meteor Res.
1959 in Bard College.
Yeah. I left my notes at work, so
we're relying on Hilary notes, which is
on Hilary notes in my memory. So let's do it.
See, your memory usually sticks pretty well, but okay. So we start.
Yeah,
Bard
it's
College
12 hours ago that I watched the episodes.
So you'd better remember anything at all.
Yeah.
So Bishop is here in 1959 with a young Xavier. Yes.
Yeah, a young Xavier in like. People tell us he's a young Xavier, but they did not attempt to animate or draw the man to look any younger whatsoever.
He can walk now, I guess, is the main thing. And he talks very slightly higher. Like exactly the same kind of phrasing. But he's sort of like, hello,
don't make me use my vast psychic powers.
My name is Charles, and I don't know about this mutant stuff.
No more.
But anyway, so it's sort of like we're thrown into this. Stuff is happening. Bishop there, Storm is there, and Xavier's like, I can't possibly, you can't, blah. And then, do we cut straight to Forge?
Well, because Xavier opens a door and it blows up. And
That's right, there's an explosion. Yeah, because then we cut to Forge, sending Bishop back to stop something.
We come to the modern day where Wolverine and Storm or just Storm. Storm's flying around and doing a little flying animation, and she lands and she says a butterfly is beautiful, and Wolverine's like, "Oh, thanks. I'm just hanging out though." And Storm is like, "I was talking about the butterfly, but you suppose you are beautiful in your own unique ways," which feels like a real mean thing for Storm to say to Wolverine.
A little, but they're sort of like flirting. It's like this little flirty thing, and
Yeah.
there's something like he says that Storm invited him to have a picnic.
Yeah, they decided to have a picnic. Him, Storm, and Professor X are coming to have a picnic. Just the three of them.
See, I was like, oh, they're the two of them are having. Oh, that's cute. They're having a little picnic, and then just like.
Yeah, and then Dad shows up.
Xavier just like comes in and just like, "Yep, this is great. We're all having a lovely time."
Yep. Don't forget, you two, leave room for the Holy Spirit. 4 on the floor.
Yes, because of yes.
But then, before they even open the basket, everything just goes bananas in the sky.
Yeah, there's like flashing lights and colors.
And instead of acting like a normal person who is seeing the sky just open up and tear itself apart, Wolverine's like, "Why can't we attract ants?"
Yeah, he can't let a quip go by, this guy.
No, he can't.
Do it.
It all disappears, and Wolverine and Storm hug, they embrace, but then
because this is a thing that they would do if there were a temporal disturbance. They would
suddenly it's the present, but it's a different present, and it's a different Wolverine and Storm, and they're hugging, and they're like, "What happened?" He's like, "I don't know, we're being attacked," and we realize they are now living in a horrible future.
Da, da, da.
Or a horrible present. It's not the future, it's the present right now.
And they all look kind of different. Beast is sort of like a cyborgy type beastie guy.
Mm-hmm.
Storm's got her mohawk, which I dig.
Yeah.
Who's the guy? Somebody comes in who's like Cyclops, but he has wings.
Oh, yeah, that's Mimic.
Mimic.
Who I'm a fan of when he's in Exiles, so not so much this version. But yeah, that's Mimic. There's a lot of cameos in this, because there's a lot of non-speaking, just combat stuff, so they're just throwing people in. So I've heard it said, and I think it's even in the book, that the animated series came up with the idea of this episode first, and they say that inspired the comic Age of Apocalypse.
Really?
So I don't know how much maybe of that. I mean, it seems like everyone on the animated series believes it. The interesting thing is there are versions of the characters in this with the Age of Apocalypse designs, but it came out in September 1995. So
I really feel like this episode feels so. The pacing of it is like, this is something that is a story from another format that we are trying to put into this format.
Yeah.
So that sounds crazy.
There's a lot different to it. Like, for one, it's the mutants still versus the humans.
Right.
In fact, we even see like Avengers sent against the mutant resistance at this time. So there's that instead of Apocalypse and everything. I mean, it could just be that it's simplified, and Magneto and Beast aren't in their Age of Apocalypse design, and neither is Wolverine or Storm. But then you see Sunfire flying around, and you see Sabretooth in his Age of Apocalypse outfit with Wildchild in his Age of Apocalypse outfit. So
that's crazy.
I imagine like they came up with the episode and were doing it, and then the comic was coming out, and and you know how Larry Houston likes to
throw in the cameos.
So. Though it's interesting because Age of Apocalypse is also based on. So in Age of Apocalypse, the X-Men go back in time to stop Legion, Professor Xavier's son, from killing Magneto. And Xavier jumps in the way. Legion accidentally kills Xavier. And that creates a whole new timeline where Xavier never formed the X-Men. Apocalypse rises. And the X-Men were never created. And Bishop in that still remembers the future because he was there. So he's the time traveler. He had to live as time went on and everything. And so he still remembers that the Age of Apocalypse isn't how the things are supposed to be. And in this, we have Bishop being one of the, primary characters. So I don't know.
Yeah, there is quite a lot of overlap. That's interesting. I wonder how that did work. But anyway, so they're fighting the humans. So it's mutants
Yeah.
versus humans, basically. And so we
Yep.
see like lots of cameos. We see that
Mhm.
Magneto is the leader of this
Yeah.
mutant group.
Yeah. There's too many cameos to mention, but Mimic was a quick one. Blink is in there somewhere, or your Misser. You also see Mister Sinister with Holocaust.
Uh-huh.
Then you see some
Nightcrawler pops in there, which we don't see him
Nightcrawler's
as
got
much.
kind of a grungy look, even though
Mastermind was there.
Mastermind was there. Colossus has his bandana.
I was watching this with Nick, and he was really like watching for cameos. Who's this? Who's this? And he was like, "Oh, is that Doctor Strange?" And I was like, "That's Mastermind."
Oh boy. No offense to your husband Nick, but he's dumb.
He's so dumb,
He's
right?
the real Nimrod of this story.
Wah, wah, wah. Oh, I forgot Nimrod. Ugh, anyway.
I think Banshee's in there, but I think I missed him at one
Yeah, I
point
do think that
because
I saw him flying around.
yeah,
But
there were lots of people flying around.
it's interesting because it's not the X-Men versus the bad mutants or whatever. Now it's like all of the mutants against basically all of the humans. And yeah,
Yeah.
they bring in sort of versions of
Mm-hmm.
the Avengers. And
Yeah.
one thing that Nick did spot, he spotted the Ben Reilly Spider-Man is apparently in there.
The Scarlet Spider was there.
Scarlet Spider.
And so they're fighting at that. It's a whole big, we need a doctor and everything. It's just kind of like if you haven't read those comics, if you ever read Age of Apocalypse and you're watching this for the first time, all that action is probably cool because you're just getting weirdo cameo after weirdo cameo. You know, you're getting Nightcrawler looking all funky. You're getting Beast in that goofy garb and everything. But it just kind of goes on for a while. Bishop and Shard show up and find Wolverine because they go back to the present. They're like, "Oh no, what's happened?" or something. I don't know.
Yeah, there's something I don't know. I don't know why they kind of stop off here, but yeah, Bishop and Shard show up and they go to Wolverine and Storm. I don't know why they pick those two, but they do.
Because they're the ones that are just there because they show up right in the trenches and Wolverine
They
and
just
Storm are
happen to
like,
be the ones
"Hey,
that are right
you."
there.
Yeah.
That's funny.
Shard, being Bishop's sister, is here. Pretty sure she dies in the comic. Or I don't know if she's back in the comics because of Krakoa or anything. Anyway, they're after Trevor Fitzroy, who we haven't seen in the show before.
He's like a teammate of theirs, right? And he like went rogue.
Yes, or he's a criminal. I don't remember all the Fitzroy stuff that they said at the beginning. There was the whole stuff with Fitzroy and
betraying them somehow.
Yeah. He's going to betray every mutant because Fitzroy's plan is to kill Xavier, and then there are no X-Men, and the Sentinels take over, and then Fitzroy will be the only remaining mutant left. So he doesn't give a crap about mutants or anything.
Yeah. He's kind of a crazy supervillain at this point.
He's got his green hair. He's faux British, it kind of feels like. I don't know.
I don't even know.
He sounds like he's trying to be like a gentleman pirate, I guess.
Oh, but wait, we haven't said yet. Wolverine and Storm in this timeline are married.
Yeah.
That's important.
They're super married.
They're
kissy married.
Super married. They're so married that we get a picture, we get a shot of them kissing, we get a shot of Storm's wedding ring, and we get a shot of Wolverine's wedding ring.
They're so married.
Clear. They're really super married.
Yeah. Well, I was trying to get to the point where I could say that Trevor Fitzroy is shirtless basically this whole 2 episodes. It's just him in this like
I don't even remember. That's funny.
He's just in a vest and then there's no shirt, so that's his look for this whole thing.
Yeah, he doesn't even care.
Yeah, they're after Fitzroy, and Fitzroy's like ally Bantam, who I just hate.
Yeah, what is with him?
So in the comics, I guess Bantam can direct Fitzroy's portals, his time portals. So he's basically a compass for Fitzroy. But in this, it doesn't seem like anything. And he's just,
there's no reason,
he just strikes me as like, I don't know, that actor. I don't even know his name. The one who's like, you don't want to go in there. It's dangerous. You know, it just
like
seems
Igor
like this guy.
Something.
Yeah, it seems like Bantam should be dripping.
But I do like because he doesn't seem to really want to be involved, but is like attached somehow to Fitzroy.
He's just there to be portal,
like, he'll throw the guy through first. And he
Yeah.
just screams, "I hate
Yeah,
this!"
I don't need a character whose only job is to be like,
Oh, it's so
"You
funny.
Bantam don't like that."
Yeah, he doesn't like it. He doesn't like it. But yeah,
And
so but it's not Fitzroy's idea. Master Mold
uh-huh.
like conscripts him somehow. He like gets
Yeah.
him to come and like he's in charge of the whole
Mhm.
situation. And Fitzroy thinks, "Oh great. So Master Mold and I are a team. This is fine.
Yeah.
Everything is fine." Then Bishop and Shard get Storm and Wolverine to leave their time and go back to where Fitzroy killed Xavier to
Mhm.
stop that from happening. Even
Yes.
though that will
Mhm.
mean that they aren't in love anymore.
Yeah. That's true. That's what will happen. So Wolverine is like Storm's just like, "Let's do it." And Wolverine's like, I don't want to do it. I love you so much. I love kissing you."
The love.
So they go to the 1958 or something like that, and they find a very young Xavier who's like, "You can't possibly." He's talking to a Professor Gray, and he's like, "You can't possibly believe single generation mutation is real." And then Bishop shows up and says, "Guess what? It's real, and
And
you're
boy,
gonna
did they
start the
ever
X-Men."
yeah, they just like lay it all out. They're like, "I'm a mutant, you're a mutant, we're from the future, you're gonna do all this cool stuff." They just let him know.
It's very both these episodes have a lot of just piddling about in that like there's all the action in the future thing, which is fine. It's a cool future. We're getting to see different versions of the characters we've seen before. But then this is just a lot of the same conversation of Xavier not believing them and having
Yeah.
to believe them and then using his powers to read their minds, and then he believes them, but then he still doesn't believe them, so then he has to
Yeah.
believe them again.
And it's like they take the same conversation to multiple
Locations.
spaces because
Yeah.
they're like at the college and they're in a
Ugh.
classroom and they go to a
Ugh.
coffee shop and it's like this whole thing.
Ugh.
I feel like we've had this conversation about episodes in the past where like when we're talking action and convoluted plot, it's all packed super, super tight. And then there's also space in the episode where nothing's happening. So it's
Mhm.
like you could have just spread it out and maybe it wouldn't have been so rushed.
Well, I guess the thing is, like, what's the interesting part of when they are in the 50s? Because it doesn't really happen, I guess, because it's either they're fighting Nimrod and trying to get to Xavier, who ran away, or they're trying to explain it to Xavier and he doesn't believe him. And like both are like the Nimrod fight, like been there, done that. The Xavier thing, it's dull. So, and then like at the bar, they deal with racism because 3 out of the 6 characters at the table are black.
Mhm.
And, you know, they're like, skin based prejudice, how quaint and everything. Wolverine's like, "It's not quaint. I'll kill him." And then the bartender calls out like Rocco and Meatball or something to beat
You're
up
so
the
funny.
X-Men. It's like you just got thrown by Wolverine. You see these guys are packing and you call out Rocco. It just like that's what the
He was
action
apparently
is.
just like hiding around the corner waiting to be
Yeah,
killed
of
for
this
just such an
like
occasion.
coffee hangout, this college coffee bar. Just he's got, you know, heavies just in case.
Yeah, it was weird. It's all
And
just very
it's
weird.
weird how much time we spend with them fighting those nobodies
Yeah.
in this kind of thing, because this episode ends with the cliffhanger with slow motion animation, which never ever works in any animation. Slow
True.
mo just does not work. But they try to do it so serious, like, "What in the world?" And Wolverine's like, "They set off the bomb."
Ah!
And he dies. And so, like, in this episode, like, yeah, you get some Forge Bishop Future stuff and Master Bolden Fitzroy, and you get this alternate look, but we don't spend enough time in the alternate universe
Yeah.
with all these alternate X-Men and mutant characters to really like enjoy it, because if you think about like the what is, I can't remember the name, the virus Legacy, is that what it is?
Mhm. Yeah.
The two-parter with Cable where he has to, we've seen this like future battle with Cable and that, and we've seen, you know, oh, the X-Men versus this thing. So I don't know, it's just it either needed to be more in the future or be smarter in the past.
Yeah, it's like they didn't wanna rest in any given place. They wanted
Yeah.
to, like, throw us into the action, fine, but then we just sort of, like, stay bouncing all over the place instead of,
Yeah.
like, yeah, settling in somewhere and
Yeah.
investing.
I mean, they talk about how, Xavier is important because he does this stuff, but this is an Xavier who has his powers, so it just feels like we should get past the "you're telling the truth" scene so much quicker.
Yeah, just not worth it. But anyway, yeah, it does end like they lose track of Xavier and he ends up getting killed just like in the very
Mhm.
beginning of the episode. And
Yep.
they decide that they have to go back again to slightly before that
Mhm.
to prevent that from happening.
Yep, but they go back to the future.
Right.
Right, they need a time portal because they don't have a time machine.
Right. Yes. So now we're in part 2,
This was written by Gary Greenfield.
which another two-parter with two people.
Yeah, I guess he wrote some Punky Brewster episodes.
Punky.
Dink the Little Dinosaur. I don't feel like I
I've never seen Punky
know.
Brewster, but I felt the need to say that because that's what Nick says every time he hears Punky Brewster.
You've never seen an episode of Punky
I've never
Brewster? We're
seen
the
Punky
same
Brewster.
age.
That's true.
Weird. Punky
Was it on
Power.
the Disney Channel?
I don't think so. I think it was just network.
Oh, well, then I have no idea because I didn't have the Disney Channel, and that was a problem.
Okay. Anything else? He wrote an episode of Ninja Turtles and an episode of Goof Troop. Oh,
Okay.
wrote 6 episodes of The Adventures of Don Quixote and Sancho Panda. You know what?
Wait. Is it actually Sancho Panda? Because I
Yeah,
would
he's a
love
panda
that.
bear.
He's a panda? Is that true?
Yeah, you know what? I watched this show. Man, I watched a lot of cartoons growing up.
I guess so. That feels right. So anyway.
Yeah, Brad Garrett.
So
Tim Curry was in this show.
was in the Don Quixote?
Yeah.
Well, great.
All right. Helen Hunt was in it?
Stop talking about this show. We're talking
I'm sorry.
about
Jeffrey Tambor was in this show.
X-Men, the animated
Phil
series.
Hartman?
That's like a lot of famous people. That's like a weird amount.
Okay. Yeah. So they talk about they have to go to the future. They need a time machine. They go to the future. Master Mold is there,
Well,
and the whole thing.
They go to where Bishop and Shard came from, right? That's their time.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, the Days of Future Past timeline.
Yeah.
Except it's also changed because the past has been changed. So now their future has been changed. Fitzroy is there. So the original plan was Fitzroy would go and record this conversation and what he did and everything so that when he came back, Master Mold would know that he changed the past for them and he would be rewarded. And he's like, I did it, except there's still 4 mutants now in their time. And so Master Mold is like, we need to kill them, and then you'll get your reward. And it's basically the Jafar eternal reward thing, because like Fitzroy leaves, and then he hears Master Mold telling Nimrod, hey, after he takes care of these mutants, kill Fitzroy too.
Yeah, really, really soon after Fitzroy leaves the room.
The door's not even shut.
Yeah, that's a flex.
And so Fitzroy is like, uh-oh. But so now we have the 4, Storm and Wolverine, Bishop and Shard. They meet Forge, who's all in a robot body. And he's working for the Sentinels and everything.
Yeah, because it's like in this timeline now, the Fitzroy's plan worked and Master Mold kind of rules the world, I guess.
Mm-hmm. Forge is trying to fix the time machine so they can go back in time, but now they got to fight Nimrod and they got to fight the other Sentinels, these future Sentinels, and Shard gets shot and she has to be left behind, and Bishop is like, oh no! And so the 3 of them jump through the portal, and Fitzroy even gives Bishop a thing, like, when you see me, give him this. And they go back to the 50s again. And Bishop is sad because he left his sister behind. Yeah.
But it's like they're going to fix everything, so she'd be fine? Or no, is she actually dead?
Yeah, that's what he says. He's like, I'm going to see her again when we fix everything here. And so they have to do like everything over again, just in a different location, because they cut to Xavier running away.
Yeah, so we don't have to do the diner again.
Right. But they're now in his apartment, I guess, his dorm room, and so they stop him and they show him the video, and Xavier's like, I get blown up here.
You want me to be in this room right now.
And there's this whole, it's the same conversation, like, read our mind again. And there's like, you just did this.
Two-parter, Eric.
Fitzroy shows up and puts them in a bubble with the bomb. And then Bishop shows them a message. It's just Fitzroy saying, hey, don't do this because Master Mold will actually kill us and it will be bad. And Fitzroy's like, oh, never mind. And they get rid of the bomb and everything's fine. They send Nimrod back into the future because they destroy his time bracelet, which they did in the other Nimrod episode. And then it ends. Everything's back to normal. Though I guess it's kind of sad because Bishop is going back to his time and they're like, when will we, cease to exist? He's like, those time bracelets only have a limited charge, maybe a couple days. I'm sorry. And he leaves. And so they hug and kiss and they're like, I love you and I love you too. And then they both at the same time turn off their time bracelets.
Yeah, which
Listen,
I think that's cool because like a couple days kind of is worse.
Yeah. I am a dork where I get weepy-eyed at these kind of dumb things. He's like, even when we don't exist, I'll still love you through time.
Oh, so sweet.
It still made me like, oh man. And Wolverine's like, don't you leave me. And then they both disappear.
Yep.
And then they're at the picnic again. And Wolverine says the ant comment again. But then, oh my, what does he say? Wolverine says, thanks for the tumble.
Thanks for the tumble. Yeah.
Anytime you want to wrestle, let me know.
Yeah,
and
Storm says, were wrestling?
And Storm says, if I didn't know any better, I say you were flirting with me. And yeah, it's like, so these two said they'd have a picnic and then they just wrestled in their like, their picnic garb, like Storm's in her jean shorts.
Yeah.
And Wolverine's, they're just wrestling, waiting for Xavier to get there.
This is an example of why this lack of serializedness is so annoying to me because, like, maybe this could go somewhere. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But it will not.
Yeah. Oh, I love it. It's so funny. Thanks for the
tumble.
So, like, are we supposed to believe at one point Wolverine's like, Professor X isn't here, want to wrestle? And Storm's like, okay. And then they're just rolling around like, stop it.
Apparently. Let's wrestle. And then they wrestle. And then we see what the end of that situation.
And so Storm says something to Wolverine like, who knows, perhaps what an interesting idea, you and me as a couple. And Xavier says, we'll never know. But then we realize he remembers them.
Oh, does he? I didn't pick up on
that. We see them like appear in his brain. So I imagine that's him remembering.
Ooh. Oh, because he was there.
Yeah.
Because he was there in the past and he saw them.
Yep.
Is what you're saying.
Yes.
That did not cross my mind. So he's just been holding on to that for their entire relationship?
Well, I mean...
For as long as he's known Storm and Wolverine.
You can't introduce the two of them and be like, in an alternate reality,
I mean, he could.
You two really got along, if you know what I mean.
Wink, wink.
You knew each other well.
Pretty darn well. So that's that episode. Those two episodes.
Yeah. This episode this two-parter matched my memory of it, which is that it's never been as good as it should be, and it always feels too long. Even though I'm a huge fan of Age of Apocalypse, these two episodes just don't land it. I know we sometimes have issues with these two-parters because like one episode will be good or the other. I feel like neither one of these episodes is necessarily better than the other one.
Yeah. These feel more cohesive as a two-parter than most.
I feel like this story needs more than 2 episodes, I guess.
Yeah. I mean, I think if you're going to succeed with this story, if you spread it out over more episodes and really like set a whole episode in that alternate future or something, really
I guess that's the thing
for a bit.
I mean, again, I know this was a kids cartoon that's talking smarter, so adults also enjoy it and everything. So maybe I'm asking too much, but they've done other stuff. That whole first season is, a 13-hour. It's not even, you know what I mean? It's 13 episodes, but it's one big story, and that really helps. And I guess that's it. Like, now that we're in episodic, it starts to feel a little generic Saturday morning cartoon, even though it's better than that.
Yeah, I think that a lot of the problem is that they're forced to do this episodic thing, and they kind of won't. Like they keep wanting to do these big stories and like the kinds of concepts that you would do in a sequential, like real serialized show, but they don't have the framework for it. And so it just kind of like, if they would just settle in to an episodic, that could work, but they don't want to because that's not the show they wanted to make. And I don't blame them, but they get trapped.
Yeah, maybe if this was a 4-parter or a 3-parter, like we could see Bishop and Shard and Forge doing their deal in the future. Like, we got to get to the time machine. We got to stop Fitzroy. Then you do an episode in the alt present. Then you do an episode in the past. And then you do an episode where you're doing the Back to the Future 2 thing where you're having to go back to all these different things. Maybe that would be more entertaining, but I don't know if, like, in 2 episodes, they spend a lot of time with the 50s stuff with Xavier, and like it never lands either in that. So I don't know if more time is necessarily the problem or just better writing.
Yeah, I don't know. It was a rough go. It wasn't a great watch. And it was hard because like the concepts I think were really interesting. And I love time travel. I love complicated time travel.
Yeah.
But it just didn't land. It wasn't executed.
I guess this feels like the first time travel episode of this series that doesn't necessarily work.
Yeah.
So, and again, like the structure isn't really the problem. Like, we have to stop Fitz and everything like that. It's just the in-between stuff or the meat. Like,
it's the storytelling. It's the way they decided to tell the story.
Is Xavier, does he learn anything by meeting these people?
Nothing matters. Nothing matters except someone broke the timeline. We fixed the timeline, and now we're back on track. There's no growth. There's no development. There's not even like just Wolverine and Storm. Like, now they have a different understanding of each other or anything. There's nothing.
Yeah, they do. I guess that's like supposed to be the emotional crux, not so much will Xavier learn he needs to step up or something. It's, will Wolverine and Storm have to, not exist anymore? But like, we know that's going to happen.
And then it does, and it doesn't matter.
Right. I mean, like I said, I get like teary-eyed. I think it's a nice moment they give him at the end, but that feels like the only part of this 2-parter that really lands. Like, Bishop and his sister don't really connect well, and then when she apparently dies, Bishop he's very cool about it because he knows, if they fix things, but it just doesn't land as much as it should. And also, we've already seen Nimrod, and
also he's dumb.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't know how I'd fix it. I don't know if I would spend more time in the alt present with the like apocalypse designs, or maybe that's not a good idea. Because again, when this show just does like a whole bunch of people fighting and stuff, I never really get into that because the animation is limited, and so they can only do so much. Like, there's not a lot of like, whoa, look at that crazy move they just did.
I think it's a take it back to the studs situation. I think it's just like, write a storyline, like write out what happens, and then just rework the entire way that you tell the story. I think it's the only way to do it.
I know he can come across sometime as overused, but to do this story and not involve Magneto seems like a missed opportunity as well. Like, because he's not even there in the past with him, and he only gets like one line in the alt present,
he
so
dies pretty quick.
Not to even have him there to say like, he was my friend, and I sometimes am glad he's not here to see what this world has turned into, or something. Like, we don't get, and because it's just Wolverine and Storm, like, we don't get to see how Cyclops deals with this situation, or what happened to Jubilee. There's just a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
That's not dealt with. Anyway.
Yeah. Oh well.
I do think that Cable Legacy Virus Apocalypse 2-parter still is a punk rock good time.
Yeah, agreed.
So
punk rock good time.
Yeah.
So if you're going between time traveling 2-parters, maybe skip this one.
Yeah. And you're not going to miss anything is the thing, because Bishop will show up again in the 4-parter that's coming up in this season, but I don't think he references.
I don't see why he would. And like, is he even gonna remember?
He'd remember,
He's expecting Shard. If he's expecting Shard to come back to life, isn't his whole timeline supposed to change?
Yeah, but he remembers everything every time the timeline changes, because he always gets to the future and is like, we did it. And Forge is like, what are you talking about?
All right, well.
Nothing's changed. We've always had giant bees.
We love the giant bees.
What have I done to the present? Oh,
no,
I need to go back in time and stop giant bees.
They're good friends.
If they're bumblebees,
yes, it's just now I'm just picturing giant bumblebees, and that's just delightful.
Yeah, I mean they would just be like big cows, right? Flying cows, because they're so big and
fluffy,
bumbly. Yeah, falling asleep inside flowers.
Oh man, does that mean we have giant flowers as well?
I guess we'd have to. I mean,
how do we get this future?
The future where we have cow-sized bumblebees?
Bumblebees and giant flowers, because I don't know. Yeah. I'm leaning into it.
Yeah, I mean, they're already pretty fuzzy right now. Imagine how fuzzy they'd be if they were cow-sized. You could just walk up to a bumblebee and pet it.
Oh my god.
And they're just so gentle and, like, they don't care.
Have you ever touched a bumblebee?
Probably.
I've held them.
Aw.
They're so cute.
They don't do, like, beehives or anything. They'll, like, sleep in a colony sometimes of, like, 50, like up to 500 of them, but they're not they're not like a colony bee.
Like loners?
Kind of, yeah.
Weird.
They just go around looking for flowers, and that's their life. Yeah.
All right.
Why are they so cute? Do you know bees can't see red?
I did not.
They so if you're planting flowers and everything for bees, you should stay away from red flowers because they can't see red at all, but they can see yellow and orange.
Interesting.
Yeah. So if you want bees, you should get like yellow, blue, violet colored flowers. That will attract bumblebees.
Because otherwise they won't see it. So they wouldn't understand that metaphor at all, seeing red.
No, yeah, they wouldn't get it. If you're like, I'm so mad I'm seeing red, they'd be like, oh, I wonder what that's like.
Tell me more.
Me.
Okay, anyway, we are done with One Man's Worth. Next time we do the animated series, it's going to be Proteus, also a 2-parter, 1 and 2.
Yeah, also episodes that I remember not having steam for 2 episodes, so we'll see.
Yeah, I'm surprised that this is a 2-parter, but yeah, we'll see there.
Mm-hmm.
And the next episode before that is going to be the Halloween special, which is Giant Sized X-Men First Class #1. From 2008, which has got kind of like a series of spooky, monster-themed things that I will be talking about with Sally Jacoby Murphy, the Queen of Halloween. So we can look forward to that.
She's so spooky.
She's so spooky. All right, well, that'll do for today then.
Bye, everybody. Oh, wait, do you say bye?
Gotta do the thing.
I forget how we... Yeah, all right, sorry.
Thank you to Prophetic Music. Shut up. Thank you to Prophetic Music for our theme song. Previously on X-Men is brought to you by the Radio Meanwhile Network. Other shows on the network include This and Dorian Life, 90s Music Got Me Like with Eric, and 9021 Here We Go. Follow us on X or Facebook at Previously on X.
Yeah, but not that X.
We should like that. Shouldn't we like that as the X-Men?
No, I don't like anything these Nimrods are doing in the world right now.
Please rate, subscribe, or share this show wherever you get your podcasts. Bye.
Bye.